and traceability, bolstering prevention of foreign animal disease in Hawaii with our unique risk environment. We are joined today by Dr. Webb, um, and that he is here. He's going to give us a rendition. Sorry, I'm trying to. Uh, Okay, my touch screen's not working. And he's going to give us a rendition, a lowdown on how AgView works and how to set up an account and go through all of that. He's got a lot of experience in both just the pork industry and also specifically in working with AgView. So, Dr. Webb, if you want to introduce yourself
Yeah,
and
thank you
take it
very
away.
much. Can you hear me?
Yep, we do.
Oh, good, good. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm Patrick Webb. I'm the Assistant Chief Veterinarian here at the National Pork Board. And one of my areas that I manage for the Pork Board is AgView, which is our database and dashboard technology that we've had up and running since November of 2020. And I'll show you some statistics regarding AgView here before we start getting into the more fun details of how everything works. This is an adoption report here that I'm just going to be sharing to you guys. And you'll see on the map here, this map outlines the states that the state vets offices that actually have an AgView account, or they have an AgView account specific to being the official state agency for the U.S. Swine Health Improvement Plan. And so you'll see we've got a lot of great coverage since November of 2020, with a lot of states having the ability to utilize AgView to request and receive location movement information, secure pork supply documentation, and in some cases, laboratory test results from certain laboratories that we have relationships with that the data can flow in. You'll see here in Hawaii, the state animal health officials in Hawaii have an AgView account now. And part of the reason that this education is ongoing, because now as pork producers in Hawaii, you have the ability to create an AgView account and populate that account with your premises and your movements, any secure pork supply documentation you may have. I was going to walk you through that today. If you want to look at our stats here based upon the aggregate data out of AgView, let me shrink that down just a little bit here. So if you look at the total numbers in AgView, the number of producer accounts that we have is 1,591 accounts. And if you go over here, the total number of premises that are represented in AgView, so these would be premises that the producer puts into the AgView account, is 10,214. And then in some states, the state animal health officials will add premises that they know that swine are on. And so roughly, 10,337 premises in AgView, and over 2,000 or 2 million, 2.3 million movements. If you look at what we've done in 2025 with adoption, we've had 191 producer accounts added. We've had 535 prems added, and we're up to 823,832 movements. So the take home from this is that the system is being used by our pork producers out there. The system is also being used by our state animal health officials. And the key to that is that for any of those producers that have an AgView account, that have their data in there, keeping it current, can instantly share that information to their state animal health officials in the face of either a foreign animal disease investigation or an actual outbreak. And so it improves the ability to share accurate traceability data with our state animal health officials in a way that they can actually visualize the data so they can process it quicker and make better risk-based decisions. Since your checkoff has paid for AgView, there is no additional cost to pork producers to create an AgView account. And then as Pork Board, we provide services to pork producers to help them understand how the account works, troubleshoot for them, answer any questions that producers may have related to AgView. And so what I'm going to do now is kind of walk you through the different account types, just to kind of show you how it all works and how it all fits together and what folks can see, both on the producer side and as well as on the state vet side. So I'm going to start sharing a different screen here. So I'm going to take you to our landing page. It's the page that we send producers to when they want to create accounts, so I can show you how that works. And so let's see here. There we go. So you should see on the screen there, it says AgView. It says introducing AgView. You'll see there. So this is agview.com. So if you just go to agview.com, it'll bring this page up and you can go to create an account. If you click on that, then it will take you to an account creation page. And it's very similar to if you're creating an account for any other online access, whether it's to a bank, your bank statements, or it's to Amazon or whatever. You're going to create your credentials here. For our producers in Hawaii, you will want to select as registering as a producer. And so this will get you the producer account. We have different account types for different users. And so for today, the producer account is for our pork producers in Hawaii, and the state animal health official account, which has already been created by your state vet's office. That's the other account that I'll show you today and how it all fits together. So you go in as a producer, you select producer, you fill out your name, you fill out your email, your phone number. Your organization is the name of your company. And so you put that in there, and then create your passwords. And then we have terms of use in AgView. I encourage everybody to click on the terms of use and take a look. Basically, what it does is it describes the triggers for when data would be shared by a producer with their state animal health official. So the important thing from our pork producers in Hawaii, if you create an account and you put data in the account, you are the only person that can approve the sharing of that information with the state animal health official. It's not an automatic thing. You actually have to permission it, and there's two different ways to permission that data. But I just want you to understand that once you create the account, you put your data in, you put your movements in, you are the person that can determine when you share that information and when you don't share that information. Once you read the terms of use, you can create the account, and that will send you basically into the manage organization page, which I'll show you here in just a second. So very, very simple process for creating the account. Thing to remember, if you create the account, the first person who creates the account is the administrator for the account. And so let me show you that here. And so this is the login to what we call it the stage environment. And so this is our practice environment. So all the data that you see in here is not real data, it's fictitious data. We as Pork Board have no access to the actual AgView platform. We have a third party who runs that for us. They maintain all the security on that. We don't have logins for it. We just get aggregate data there. So again, the take home is that as a pork producer, that's your account, that's your data, and you're the only person that controls the access to that information. Pork Board has no access to it at all. So I'm going to log in. And this, where we're going to land on this page here, this is the manage organization page. Is that coming through? Is everybody seeing manage organization? Just so I'm making sure that my share is working properly.
Yeah, we see that screen.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is the manage organization page. So if Christy Stevens was the one who set up the initial login to create the account, she becomes the organizational admin. Let's say you have 4 people that work on your farm and you want to add them to your AgView account. It's a very simple process by clicking on add new member. You put in the new member's email address and you decide if you want their role as a producer in the system or an organizational admin. The only difference between an organizational admin and a producer is that the organizational admin can add and delete people and can delete the account. So if you just want your employees in there to be able to do work in AgView, you can bring them in as a producer. If you want a backup admin, you can bring them in as an admin. So you select their role and you hit add member. Once that happens, then those folks will get an email that comes to their inbox that basically says you've been added as a member to this AgView account. You click on the link, it will take you to the page that I just showed you where you fill out your credentials. And once you do that, when you log in, then you have access to the account. And so as people are added to the account, they show up here in your dashboard. Let's just say you had somebody leave the organization. You, as the admin, can remove them from your organization. But you can also edit their role in the organization. If you want to take somebody from a producer status up to an admin, you can do that as well. And so, fairly easy to add folks. Once you do send them the email, as long as it's a pending, if they haven't approved it, it will show up here in this pending tab here, so you'll know who you've invited to participate in your organization. I want to take you to this statement here, this confidentiality, confidential producer proprietary trade secret information. This is deliberately we put this into AgView to provide protections to our producers to make sure that if there was a Freedom of Information Act of the National Pork Board to get this data, that this helps keep the data protected and exempt from being shared if Pork Board were to get a Freedom of Information Act, what we call FOIA. So again, data is your data. You determine when it's shared. Your data is protected from being exposed from basically from the legal stuff that we've done on the front end here. And so I'll take you across the top here of the managed organization. So we have the member page here where you know who's in the org and what role they play in the organization. Partners. We do have other account types for veterinarians that may work with pork producers where the pork producer wants them to have access to their AgView account through a dashboard. And so we have, we call these account management partners. We have about 48 different swine management companies or swine veterinary clinics that are or that have AgView partner accounts here. And so in a situation, let's say if you're working with a consulting veterinarian, like Dr. Pesnick, and you would like him to have access to your AgView account to do business on your behalf in the account. If you agree to share your information with him, he would send you an invite. Then you would show up, or that relationship would show up here in your partners tab. So the goal here is to make sure that you understand that when you share data with an individual, that you know who you're sharing with. The applications tab really isn't going to apply, I don't think, to our producers in Hawaii because this applies to some of the larger production systems that are utilizing data management companies like MetaFarms or Pignose or other companies that capture data, analyze data for pork producers for production purpose. But this is a way to add those folks. So, like for instance, if I was a pork producer and I'm using MetaFarms, then I can permission MetaFarms to put my locations and movements into AgView on my behalf, so I don't have to do it by hand or by spreadsheet. And so this just allows those companies that have application programming interfaces with us allow that data to flow in with the producer permissioning it. The U.S. Swine Health Improvement Plan. Those states that are participating in that have an official state agency that can invite producers to participate in the program, and then they can use their AgView account to certify that producer in the program. I don't know if there's any immediate application for our pork producers in Hawaii here. If Hawaii was to go down the road of becoming an official, the state vet's office becoming the official state agency for the U.S. SHIP program, then for those producers that have an AgView account in Hawaii, they would be able to participate in this program once invited by the state. And then there's the details page here. This gives you your name of the name of the organization that you put in there. And this here, this data opt-in, I just want to bring that to the forefront. So we talked about two ways for data to be shared in AgView. A producer can agree by clicking here on this data sharing opt-in to share locations and movements with their state vet in real-time peacetime, right? So we're not talking about an outbreak. This is just providing that movement information on a daily basis to the state animal health official. Again, it's a producer permission thing. And so if you're not comfortable with that, you can unclick that button. And so your data is in your AgView account and is not being shared. The state vet can still request that data if they need that data for a trace out, and you can still approve that share. Out of those 1,500 pork producers that do have AgView accounts, over 600 of those producers are opt into data sharing. And that's just because they don't they have a level of trust with their state animal health official that they're comfortable sharing locations and movements. And if you have a premises ID number, you've already shared your locations with your state vet because that's part of the registration process for it. If you do end up going out of business or you don't want an AgView account anymore, we also have the delete organization here as well. So that shows you across the top kind of the um, different little modules that we have there to support producers and their awareness of who they're sharing data with. If we go down the left-hand side here, the map view. So once you get your location movements into AgView, once you get your, locations into AgView and your movements into AgView, then you have the ability to visualize that information. So information in AgView related to a prem shows up as a blue dot once it's loaded into AgView. You can hover over that dot and it gives you the prem ID plus the name of the location. If you click on that, it gives you a little bit more information on the modal. It'll give you the prem ID, the location type, site owner name, site owner phone, animal owner name, the animal owner, name, and then their phone. If you want to see even more about it, then you can click on that and it'll take you into the total premises details that the producer has put in there related to that location. If I back out of that, these little tabs here, these little pins are what we call points of interest. And so in AgView, what we do is if there's a packing plant, buying station, exhibition location, if a state asks us to include those as a point of interest, then they can be in AgView. So the producer has awareness of those points of interest and can actually, I'll show you here in a second, actually track movements to that between a location and a point of interest. So again, blue dots are locations, and you have basic searching capabilities. You can search by premises name or the prem ID number. If you don't want to see the points of interest because they can get busy, you can toggle that off. And then if you want to see by location types, you have the ability to filter, and we've got all sorts of different location types that you can choose from in AgView when you're adding your premises. You know, the first thing I should have told you guys that when you log into AgView, and you hit this manage organization page, the first thing that you really need to do is go to the help feature here. If you're having problems with your AgView account, you can give us a call at the National Pork Board. You can email us at the National Pork Board. But the first thing that you should do is go to our user guides, click on that. And then there is a user guide in here, and it is the user guide for producers. And it's down here at the bottom. It's the AgView Producer Guide. You can download that, and I recommend that you read through that because it will help with a lot of the questions that you may have as you're trying to work through AgView. AgView is fairly intuitive, but if you read through our user guide there, that will help you considerably when learning how to work in AgView. So going back here, my AgView account on this map view. The other thing that you can see, let me actually, on your premises view too, if I go and I click on that, if I'm in here on this, inside the premises, I can see all the details. I can also click on the movements and I can see all of the movements related to that location in and out. I can filter, I can export those things if I want to. I can see any certifications that have been granted to that site. Um, there's a place for the producers to upload their secure pork supply plan into AgView. And if I do that, that secure pork supply plan would be here in this documents tab. For the labs, if a producer has permission laboratories to send data into AgView, their lab data into AgView, it would show up here. And then their US SHIP certification, if they were enrolled in US SHIP and they were certified, that would show up here as well. Back out. So going back to the map view here, movements are another thing that producers can see in AgView. And we have a date range. It's just like if you were going to try to book a flight or, but it goes back. So I'm going to take it back quite a few days because I know my fake data in here is a little bit dated. I have not updated it recently. But what I can do is once you, as a producer, add that movements into AgView, I can actually visualize those movements. So I'm going to select all the movement types here, and you'll see that they show up here as blue lines initially. You'll see this red line here. We've got a cool feature in AgView that if, let's say, for instance, you want to know your cold war movements, you want them colored different so you can see them on the map as a different color. You have a way in AgView to actually click on the color scale and you can choose whatever color you want for that particular movement. And so this allows you to customize that map view, give you more readily available information based on colors. And so for the producer, once they get locations and movements into AgView, they can visualize all of that type of information. Their veterinarian can utilize that information for tracebacks. AgView will hold location or the movement data for 3 years, and then it'll fall off out of the data set. And that's because the longest time for holding movement records in the Code of Federal Regulations for pigs is 3 years. So it allows the ability for your herd veterinarian to be able to do tracebacks of those types of things for endemic diseases for the producers in Hawaii. You can search for premises or movement by premises. We also have the ability to track movements by trailer and license plate number. Those are things that are a little bit more advanced with the use of AgView, but they're there as a bell and a whistle if you'd like to utilize it. So showing you all this cool stuff, and you're probably saying, all right, well, Patrick, how do I get movements into AgView? Or how do I get my premises into AgView? So the first thing, let's talk about prems. So we have 4 different ways to get data into AgView. The first is just through the user interface, which I'll show you here in a second. The second 2 are CSV file uploads. We have a template folks can use. We can also map CSV file templates from producers into AgView. And then the fourth way is through the application programming interfaces that we have with the data management companies. I would say that probably for most of my producers there in Hawaii, the user interface would be the easiest way for you to get data into AgView. And so I'm going to focus on that today. So very simple, add premises. First thing you need to know is your USDA premises identification number. And if you don't have one of those, you can get that through your state animal health official's office. We do have a checks and balances that if you type a premises ID number in there, we have the ability to make sure that it's valid. Invalid prem IDs will not upload. And so then if you have a problem with uploading your premises information and it kicks it back because your prem ID doesn't meet the verification standards, then you need to contact your state animal health official and make sure you've got your 7-character alphanumerics all right. And all prem IDs are 7-character alphanumeric numbers. And so you have to have a valid prem. You have to have a premises name for that location. On your location type, it is up to you on what you call it. And we have all sorts of different location types within the swine industry. And so you have many to choose from here. You can, if you know that you're just a breeding herd or you have a boar stud, you can select that. If you're a farrow to finish or feeder to finish, if you're your sow farm, wean to finish. So you have different location types to pick from. And so you'd select those as well. Capacity, so the number of animals on your site. And again, this is an estimate. So, if you know exactly how many you have, that's fine. You can keep it in there. If you like, for instance, if I've got a 1,200 head finisher, I may have 1,050 pigs in there, not 1,200. So again, it's one of those, you do your best estimate, the number of barns that you have on site, and then the number of animals that you have on site. So what your total capacity is, the number of barns that you have there, and then what you think your number of animals on the site are. The species is default swine. And then we have a custom field here. So if you want to put something in there that's unique about that location that you want to make sure can be communicated to a state animal health official, you can fill out this custom field here. You'll put in your location. and your lat and longitude, and then your site owner name, your animal owner name, contact information there with phone and email. And once you get all of that filled out and you hit save, your location will show up as a blue dot, and you'll be able to do all those things I showed you with it, where I can hover over it and see the name. I can click on it and see this modal. I can dive down into it and start basically doing work with the premises. Like if I have a secure pork supply plan for this location, I can just go ahead and upload that into AgView. Movements. There's lots of different ways to get movements through the user interface. You can do it through the movement tab here with the add movement button. But really, the easiest way to do it is going into the map view, clicking on the movement, the button, excuse me, clicking on that premises. You see this add movement button? If I click on that, I can go to the next prem that I know I'm moving to. And so I'll pick a point of interest here just for fun. This is Heinhold Hog Market. And if I know I'm moving to that market, I click on that and you'll see there's a little dotted blue line. And so it shows me my start premises ID, my ending premises ID, the movement type. So if this is a cull sound movement, let's say, I can select that. I'm moving her today. There is only one in my shipment. I can put her individual ID in there. There's a group lot ID as well if I want to use that. And then I click add movement. And you'll see it, movement is successfully added. And so then that movement would become visible if I go through and do my date range again. That movement then would be visible to me in my map view here. And so for pork producers that have small numbers on their site and are only doing a few movements a week or a few movements every other week, learning how to do it through the map user interface here is just the easiest way. We've got a lot of producers that do it this way that maybe only moving pigs once a week. It's way better than filling out a spreadsheet and uploading it. It just works a lot better on the user interface. But we do have the ability to do templates. We do have the ability to map to AgView using a CSV file. And there's also the application programming interface. But my guess is for my Hawaii producers, this map view would probably be the most efficient way to get those movements into AgView. So we have the map view. If you like a satellite view versus a map view, like if you're in Google Earth, you can change it. You can go back to map. So if you like nighttime feature versus the daytime feature, you can do that as well. So just a few little bells and whistles here for folks. So we've got the map view where we can see locations and movements. We have the ability to add prems. We can go in, we can search by prem, export by prem, view premises data. We have the movements tab where we can go in and look at that information, sort that information, export that information. We can add movements as well. Here it's a little more typey type of deal where you need to know where you're sending them from, where they're going to. So a little more detail are involved with getting that information in. We do track, it's optional if you want to track your tractor license plates and your trailer license plate numbers and who might be transporting pigs for you, your TQA certificate number and a custom field as well. Laboratory data, like I said, certain labs have the ability to move data into AgView. The three that currently have that ability are Iowa State, South Dakota, and Missouri. And so my guess is that for out in Hawaii, you don't need to worry about your labs tab. We would be willing to work with the lab in Hawaii to set up the ability to have laboratory data come in. But we'd have to work with the lab on that. There's a request tab here. If the state animal health official requests your data using their AgView account, then that request would come to you as an email, and then it would also show up here in your request. And if you click on it, then it would say why the state vet's requesting that information. And once you agree to share it, then it would show up in your shared tab here. And then if you're no longer sharing information, it would show up here in the inactive. So you always have a knowledge of who requested information, if you shared it, and then when that sharing privilege was taken away by you. Again, you as the producer have control over all of that. We do have a basic permit request feature in AgView. This is something that I don't anticipate that you guys would be using. This is just a tool that we put in there for our state animal health officials that may want to do some permitting utilizing AgView, but it's not a required field, a required feature to be used. And then again, going down the side here, you wouldn't have the features tab here. This is because this is a stage account where we practice, and so I can turn on or turn off different features that our developers are working on. So what you'll have is your help button here, and then your manage organization button down here where you can get into your profile and change your profile, manage your organization, or log out of your AgView account. And so that kind of in a nutshell is the producer side of AgView. I can take any questions if you want to, if anybody has any questions or would like to see something, go ahead and ask it now. We can talk through it. And then my next step will just show you what the state vet sees on their side of AgView. So are there any questions? All right. So I'm going to log out, producer account, and then I'm going to go over here and set up my login for my state animal health official account. So this is what the state vet's office in Hawaii will see once they open up their AgView account and get to their manage organization page. So much like the producer account, their manage organization page here, they can add new members to their organization through email. They have a bunch of different roles they can pick from, whether that person that they want in there is able to just see stuff, or they're able to get and manipulate data, or they're an admin for the system. Again, once they're in there, you can see them here. You can also see the pending invitations. You can see the details of the account as well. Couple differences though for the state vet's office on the left-hand side. They have a bunch of different tabs here that allow them the opportunity to do different things in AgView. The first thing I'm going to show you is their peacetime map. And so you'll remember I told you that there's the ability to opt in to data sharing in peacetime. If you are a producer that has done that, then your state animal health official would be able to see your locations as well as your movements in AgView in real time. And like I said, we've had over 600 producers opt into sharing their peacetime movements with their state animal health official on the day-to-day. Again, it's not required. So if you're uncomfortable doing that, that's fine. The state vet also has the ability, as people have agreed to peacetime share, they show up here in a dashboard, or excuse me, in a drop down, so they know which companies are sharing with them. They have the ability to see what we call commuter agreements or swine production health plan movement data. They can search by prem name. They can also do searches by license plate numbers and those type of things. So peacetime movements, that's the first map I'm showing you here, but kind of what the state vet would see if you share in peacetime. The incident side of AgView was the initial way for the state animal health officials to request data from pork producers. And so what they would do is if they had something going on, let's say in the state of Hawaii, or they need information from the state animal health officials, they would create an incident in AgView, and they would name that incident. They would put in the disease that they suspect is going on. They would put in the range of movement, day or days of movement information that they'd want to see, and then we set up an incident. And so I will set up one here. We'll just do Hawaii demo. And we'll pretend it's African swine fever we're worried about, and we want to see 90 days worth of data. and I'll save it as a draft as a state vet. And that brings up my map view here. And so anybody who's already sharing locations and movements into AgView would show up on this map. And so I would have the ability then to go in and see that information. If I want to add in a control area around that or just request data, I can do that in AgView. And so this is where you as the producer would get that data share request. When I activate the incident here, right now it's in draft form. And so AgView allows me as the state vet's office to be able to kind of visualize this information and be able to request that type of data from my pork producers in order to better understand what might be going on in the disease outbreak. There's lots of different filtering tools for the state animal health officials that they can utilize to get more information off the map related to the types of prems and who owns the prems and the companies that they may want to work with. There's also filters for movements. And so a lot of these tools are designed to help state vets to be able to filter things out and only see the things that they need to see in order to do the appropriate trace outs. And they can also see laboratory test data for classical swine fever, African swine fever, and foot and mouth disease, which are the foreign animal diseases that we worry the most about. So that's the incident tab. So again, incidents and peacetime are two different ways that the state vet can get access to the movement information based upon whether the producer has pre-permissioned it or whether the producer wants to permission it when there's a problem. State vet's office can upload laboratory data into AgView and see those laboratory test results as well. They have the ability to upload premises data into AgView, lab data into AgView, and they can do that through spreadsheets. They have the ability to see permit requests, approve or deny those permit requests in AgView. And then they also have the ability to review swine production health plans that have been submitted by producers through an AgView account. These are commuter agreements or a way to get pigs across state lines without health papers. And they're very complicated to get set up. They're codified, but they're very complicated to get set up. I don't anticipate any of that for my Hawaii producers, but it's a feature there for the larger production systems, especially here in the continental U.S. that utilize these commuter agreements for pig movements. They also have the ability here to do the same things. Nighttime view, help manage their organization. And so, the two account types together provide a really awesome opportunity for our pork producers to be able to share real-time movement information with the state vet's office prior to or during an issue where rapid tracebacks are going to be very important to determine where disease is and isn't. In the world of emergency preparedness, our state animal health officials will be reluctant to release quarantines and stop movements until they know that they have enough data to provide a high level of confidence that they know what the situation is with the particular disease outbreak. And so as a pork producer and as an industry, these tools have been developed to allow our producers to be able to do that very efficiently, very quickly, and provide more accurate and more information that can be used from a visual perspective for the state animal health official to understand what's going on in an outbreak scenario. And so, like I mentioned, we've had very good uptake of AgView from the largest of the large production systems all the way down to the smallest of the small. We do have a lot of show pig producers utilizing AgView. We've emphasized that for the last 2 years. And we have a lot of very small independent producers that are utilizing AgView. Again, it's no additional cost to the producer. Takes a little bit of reading on the front end, but once you get used to running the system, it's actually very intuitive, very easy to use, especially when we're talking about small farms with small numbers of movements. And again, provides you the opportunity to share information with your state animal health officials prior to an outbreak or during the outbreak. And then also the ability for you to share your information with, let's say, your herd veterinarian, utilizing what we call the account management partner account, which are swine veterinary clinics and swine management companies have access to. And so altogether a good way to enhance preparedness, especially the enhancement of sharing traceability data for risk-based decision making by the state animal health officials. This allows them to do more than just stop movements for a long period of time where they're trying to figure out what's going on. This allows them a higher level of confidence to make the disease outbreak area, the control area, as small as possible and affecting as little producers as possible. So with that, that's about 45 minutes of presentation. I want to leave plenty of time for questions. If you want to see something again or have any questions, be happy to take those. But that's pretty much what I was going to cover today. So yeah, open it up.
Dr. Webb, my name is Kanan. I'm a wean to finish farm. So just to make it all make sense, so what I would do would be going from like if I take my pigs to the slaughter, that would be my movement from my farm to the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, so for you, what you would do is you would get in, you would create your account. You would go in, you would add your premises information, you would select your location type, and you said you're wean to finish. And so there's
Yes.
wean to finish down here. You would select that, fill out the rest of the information. And then on the map, you would see your location. We'll just pretend that this little dot here is your location. And then for the packing plant location, when you're doing your movements,
Hmm.
what we can do is if you guys can send me the packing plant information. So basically, all I need is a street address. I don't know if they have a prem ID or not. That helps as well. But what you can do is basically go in, and when you take your pigs to the harvest facility, you would basically put in your prem ID as your prem ID number here for your site. The movement type, which would be a movement to slaughter, which where is my market? It's a market pig movement here. Swine would already populate, and you put your prem ID in there. For your destination, if you know the address of the location that you're going to, you can select the street address here, and then you fill out the information related to where that packing location is. You put in your number of head into shipment, and the rest of the stuff is optional if you want to fill it out or not. And then you would save that, and that would add that movement to your AgView account. So it'd be right there. So you do that. You can do that the day that you shipped. So if you know you sent
Hmm.
one load, today to that harvest facility, you can do it the day of. There's also a way to set up recurring movements in AgView. So if you know that you're going to ship your finished pigs to the slaughter plant the third Thursday in every month or every Tuesday or whatever, you can
Hmm.
actually set up a recurring route, and then it allows you just fewer keystrokes when that movement occurs. You just need to fill in the number of head and the date of the shipment. So does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, I did. From the farm to the slaughterhouse, and then would I have to track like it going from the slaughterhouse to the market?
Nope, that's not your
No. Okay,
responsibility. No.
just the main movement.
Yep, and then you'd want to track the pigs coming in. So if you're weaned to finish, you're getting them from some sow farm, and so you would do the same thing on your movements here. You would add a movement. And in this situation, you would add the source details. So if that sow farm's got a prem ID and they'll provide that to you, you can use the prem. If not, you can either use a lat long or a street address. So movements in AgView, you can either log a movement by a prem ID, by the address, or by the lat long. And you can mix and match. So let's say you know your prem ID, but you don't know the prem ID for the place you're sending it, but you do know the street address. You can just use the street address, and then it'll log that movement that way. And so for
Okay.
your pigs coming in from the sow farm, you can log
Sorry,
that.
I'm a feral to finish. Sorry.
Oh, you're feral to finish. Okay.
Feral to
Then,
finish, yeah,
then
sorry.
but do you ever buy new genetics? Do you ever get new breeding stock coming in?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you could log that coming in, so you have that movement in and movement out. So from a traceability perspective, according to kind of the federal code, you're kind of responsible for keeping track of things moving in and out of your location. And so I would
Okay.
recommend that you track what's coming in, you'd add that to your AgView account, and what's going out, you add that to your AgView account. And then anything, before that or after that, that's really the responsibility of the packing plant or the responsibility of whoever sent you, your genetics if they've got other moving.
Okay. So so I fly my semen in monthly from PIC. So should I track that from
Yep.
PIC?
You can track semen in AgView. There is a movement type in AgView specific to semen here. And so you
Nice.
can track it
Okay.
that way. You can actually track your rendering if you want to, or your carcass disposal if you want to. We have the ability also to do, like if you're moving pigs to show fairs or exhibitions. So we have different movement types there, but we also can track feed. Not nobody's doing that as far as on a regular basis, but so those things can be tracked in AgView. But yeah, yeah, movements of animals in and out, movements of semen in. That's probably what you really want to focus on.
Okay. That sounds pretty easy.
Yeah, like I said, just download the user guide and kind of look at those. Just I'm so used to running through it, right? It
Hmm.
takes just a little bit of practice with it, and then you'll get it like that. It's pretty user friendly and intuitive.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Well, thank you.
Hmm. Other questions?
Looks like we have a few questions in the chat, but I'm
Oh,
not sure
okay.
that you would have the answer to them.
Let me take.
Um, can this link to Hawaii's DC-44 system? Can I?
Um, so I don't know exactly what that is. However,
And
I'll say this, we do have the ability to link into databases or link two databases together so data can be shared. And so my guess is that that system is maybe a system that Hawaii is using at the state animal health official level. And so we could have those conversations to see if there's a way to hook into that. We do have the ability through AgView to move AgView data to kind of the top data management systems the state animal health official uses. One's called the Emergency Management Response System that USDA provides. Another is called USA Herds, and they've got a new product coming out called Ag Enterprises. And then there's another one called Core One, which is a company. It's made by a company called Trace First. Those are very popular software systems that state vet use to manage either outbreaks or manage their programmatic areas. And so I guess the short answer for that is if it's a system that can take location and movement data, we can certainly work to make those connections if that's desired.
okay. I think we'd have to ask probably the state about it because it's a
Yeah.
physical and electronic or electronic form that is, my understanding is inter-island movements. Is that correct? I think so. Um, so I think we'd probably have to, yeah, I think you're right. We'd have to reach out with them for that.
Yeah, so yeah, if the state is interested in having producer location movement information moved directly into that system, we can start those conversations and make that happen.
Okay. Okay. We can definitely check that. And then um maybe we can use the permit system as a DC-8. I think we'll have to
Mhm.
ask Melly about those things.
Yeah, those are conversations that we can have with the Department of Ag.
Yeah.
In order to make the flow of data seamless from AgView to them, to the systems that they use. Yeah, I don't have any concerns there. Really, the one concern is just the bandwidth for the state to spend some time to work on the integration side. I've got folks that do that for me, and that's what we pay them for. But when we do integrations with other software systems, it's usually dependent upon how much effort and resources they put to it to work with us.
Okay. Well, sounds like it's worth an ask.
Yep, sounds like a great ask. What other questions do you have?
That was it.
We at the Pork Board are here to help you guys as producers create the accounts and start to learn how to utilize the accounts. Um, Either emailing to our help, calling. I know there's quite a bit of time difference too, right? So calling may not always work. But emails, using our help feature there for sending in an email. We will make the time to work with you to help out if there's problems. That's what we do. We don't expect the state vet to try to help you figure out how to work your AgView account. They've got enough to do. So you can look to us at Pork Board to assist there in any way that we can. Oh, I see Kim's got a question. Kim, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I had to hunt for my unmute button. So Hawaii allows slop feeding. And I was wondering if there was a way that we could somehow link our data for the most recent slop inspection and if they are current on their licensing. That is the biggest risk that I think we have for our state is for unlicensed slop feeders. Um, and if they're able to keep that information current on this system, then when we find people that are not licensed, that are picking up slop, we can create a list of people like say we run across a restaurant and they would like to divert all that stuff from the landfill to a pig feeder. And if we can know where those currently licensed and in compliance slop feeders are, then we could go ahead and select an area that either the producers can reach out to these people if they want it, or the restaurants or schools can reach out to the pig producers to say, hey, I see that you're current and you're licensed and you're doing it the right way. Let's hook up.
Yeah. Those are conversations that we can have to see how we can build out AgView to support something like that. Um, We do have the ability to track certifications in AgView, but we don't have the ability, let's say, for somebody that might be providing meat containing plate waste or slop, to be able to kind of like visualize on a map who might be certified and who might be not. I mean, those are conversations we can have, but it's not a current capability that we have.
Okay, because the state actually, USDA does a lot of the certifications and the
Right.
licensing,
Yep.
and then the state has that in a database. And
Yep.
so working hand in hand through the state side, perhaps when we run across an illegal slop feeder, we can talk to the source and say, you're participating in activities that can lead to a dangerous outbreak. Let's give you a list of names that you can contact so that you can do it legally and go ahead and cut off the supply to people that are doing it illegally.
Yeah, that's a interesting use for AgView, something that we can explore. All right. Well, certainly appreciate everybody's time today. Like I said, as you start digging into AgView, if you have questions or need help, I'm your primary point of contact. You can use our help email. You can call Pork Board. There's multiple ways to get help, and we will work to help you get your data in and keep your data current and understand how best to share that with the state vet. So with that, I'll turn it back to the hosts, Gabby and Jing.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate it.